there, guys. Wanted to talk a little bit about handstand walking for speed and distance. With that being said, so assuming that you are comfortable being upside down, that you are already moving kind of on your hands, maybe taking a few steps at a time, the most important thing before trying to think about speed and distance is establishing body awareness and body control. So when you first start walking, it's really important that you maintain a nice, good midline. Really focus at keeping the feet closer together. When you're upside down, if you're not used to being upside down, which most of us aren't, we don't walk regularly upside down. So with that being said, making sure that the closer your legs, arms are in the midline, the easier it's going to be. Okay, once you start to move outside of midline, then it becomes a little bit more difficult. So once you've established body awareness and body control, you're able to maintain that inversion when you start to break down and form, meaning legs are separated, parted, kind of losing that midline a little bit to gain speed and momentum when working with distance and speed. So establishing body awareness and control, what that means, maintaining midline, for that is it's going to help with control and breathing. Okay, so if you are upside down and you start to really overextend in that lower back, makes it a little bit more difficult to breathe. So if you can maintain in the beginning, kind of keeping the hips and shoulders a little bit closer, not breaking, overextending in the hips, that's going to teach you how to breathe upside down a little bit more efficiently. When you start moving faster, okay, you can break a little bit more here, but it's going to be because of your experience with kind of knowing where you are when you're flipped upside down. That's going to help overall. Plus, time under tension, if you can't breathe as well, when you break that midline, it doesn't matter, you're moving faster, so you're not going to be inverted for as long. Body positioning. Ideal body position, whether you are walking completely upright or you're starting to break or bending at the knees, the biggest things is maintaining the hips over the shoulders. So in order to start moving and moving forward in your handstand walk, you always have to have your hips over your shoulders. Okay? It's just like running. When you run and you start to move forward and you gain momentum, you always have your shoulders over your hips. So now we flip you upside down and it's the opposite. You've got hips over shoulder. Okay? So in order to keep that momentum forward when you're running, your shoulders are always over your hips, moving you forward. And it's the same thing when you're walking upside down, that your hips are staying over your shoulders to keep your momentum moving forward. The other is open shoulders. Okay? So when you're walking, making sure that your head is through, shoulders are open. Once you start to close in the armpits, that starts to pull your body back down towards the ground. So it's a lot harder to walk here versus to walk with shoulders all the way open. So make sure that when you're walking, you're not closing and shutting down the shoulders and that you're staying extended through the shoulders. For speed and distance, you want to think about taking faster steps. Faster steps equal to less time under tension. You're moving faster, you're not going to be inverted, you're going to get from point A to point B faster if you are taking faster steps. I feel like that's probably obvious. You know, you're running, the faster you run, the quicker you get to point A to point B, but this can't happen unless you, back to basics, have established good body awareness and most importantly, body control while being upside down. So we're going to talk a little bit about what the two different movements look like as far as kind of walking more controlled versus faster steps, walking a little bit more out of control when you start to move for speed and distance. Naturally, when you start to move faster, there is going to be a little bit of a breakdown in form, and that's fine. But like I said, if you've established good control, then that shouldn't be an issue for you. All right, so first one we're going to talk about walking with everything. So again, when everything is close to midline, makes you a little bit more efficient, makes movement a little bit easier. So that's the first one that we're going to look at. Set up. being able to establish that in the beginning allows you to build that body control and awareness. Second one, when you start to move faster, you're going to see a little bit more breakdown, a little bit more extension. Some people like to walk with a split leg. That's fine too. Some people walk with bent knees. There are people that do kind of like the upside down running where they're moving their feet in coordination with their hands. So when you start to walk with speed, start to move the hands a little bit faster, always thinking about playing catch up. So your hands are always chasing your feet. Okay? So if you think about it that way, if you're arching, overextension, that's fine as long as you can balance that out. But just always be thinking about chasing your feet. Hands are chasing your feet. All right, so you kick up, you start to build up speed. So you can kind of see the difference between walking a little bit more efficiently, tends to be a little bit slower. You might build a little bit more time under tension, which is going to cause fatigue over time, versus moving a little bit faster for speed. Is going to be a breakdown in form, but if you've established good body awareness, body control, then you should be good to go. So that's your 101 on handstand walking for speed and distance.